Chapter 7. What happened at the front door? Now, slave, how long am I to wait for my chariot? Thundered the witch. Uncle Andrew cowered away from her now. Now that she was really present, all the silly thoughts he had while looking at himself in the glass were oozing out of him. But Aunt Letty at once got up from her knees and came over to the center of the room. "And who is this young person, Andrew, may I ask?" said Aunt Letty in icy tones. "Distinguished foreigner, very important person." "Rubbish," said Aunt Letty, and then turning to the witch, "Get out of my house this moment, you shameless hussy, or I'll send for the police." She thought the witch must be someone out of the circus and did not approve of bare arms. "What woman is this?" said Jadis. "Down on your knees, minion, before I blast you." "No strong language in this household, if you please, young woman," said Aunt Letty. Instantly, as it seemed to Uncle Andrew, the queen towered up to an even greater height. Fire flashed from her eyes. She flung out her arm with the same gesture and the same horrible-sounding words that had lately turned the palace gates of Charn to dust, but nothing happened, except that Aunt Letty, thinking that those horrible words were meant to be ordinary English, said, "I thought as much. The woman is drunk. Drunk! She can't even speak clearly." It must have been a terrible moment for the witch when she suddenly realized that her power of turning people to dust, which had been quite real in her own world, was not going to work in ours. But she did not lose her nerve for even a second. Without wasting a thought on her disappointment, she lunged forward, caught at Letty but round the neck, and then and the knees, raised her high over her head as if had been no heavier than a doll, and threw her across the room. While Aunt Letty was still hurtling through the air, the housemaid, who was having a beautifully exciting morning, put her head in the door and said, "If you please, sir, the hansom has come." "Lead on, slave," said the witch to Uncle Andrew. He began muttering something about regrettable violence, must really protest, but at a single glance from Jadis, his speech became speechless. She drove him out of the room and out of the house, and Diggory came running down the stairs just in time to see the front door close behind them. "Jiminy," he said, "she's loose in London, and with Uncle Andrew. I wonder what on earth is going to happen." "Oh, Master Diggory," said the housemaid, who was having a really wonderful day, "I think Miss Ketterly's hurt herself somehow." So they both rushed into the drawing room to find out what happened. If Aunt Letty had fallen on bare boards, or even on a carpet, I suppose all her bones would have been broken. But by the great good luck, she had fallen on a mattress, the very same that she was working on. Aunt Letty was a very tough old lady. Aunts often were in those days. After she had had some salvatore and sat still for a few minutes, she said there was nothing to the matter with her except a few bruises. Very soon, she was taking charge of the situation. "Sarah," she said to the housemaid, who had never had such a day before, "go round to the police station at once and tell them there is a dangerous lunatic at large. I will take Miss Kirk's lunch up myself." Miss Kirk was, of course, Diggory's mother. When Mother's lunch had been served to Diggory and Aunt Letty had their own, when Mother's lunch had been served to, or had been seen to, not served. I can speak. Diggory and Aunt Letty had their own. After that, he did some hard thinking. The problem was how to get the witch back to her own world, or at any rate, out of ours as soon as possible. Whatever happened, she must not be allowed to go rampaging through about the house. Mother must not see her. And if possible, she must not be allowed to go rampaging about London either. Diggory had not been in the drawing room when she tried to blast, but Aunt Letty, but he had seen her blast the gates at Charn, so he knew that her terrible powers did not know that she had lost any of them by coming to our world. And he knew she meant to conquer our world. At present moment, as far as he could see, she might be blasting Buckingham Palace or the Houses of Parliament, and it was certain that quite a number of the policemen had by now been reduced to little heaps of dust. And there didn't seem to be anything he could do about it. But the rings seemed to work like magnets, thought Diggory. If I can touch her, and then slip on my yellow ring, we shall go into the wood between worlds. I wonder, will she go all faint again there? Was that something the place does to her, or was it the shock of being pulled out of her own world? But I suppose I'll have to risk that. And how am I going to find the beast? I don't suppose Aunt Letty would let me go out unless I said where I was going. And I haven't got more than 2 pence. I didn't need any amount of money for buses and trams if I went looking all over London. Anyway, I haven't the faintest idea where to look. I wonder if Uncle Andrew is still with her. It seemed in the end the only thing he could do was to wait and hope Uncle Andrew and the witch would come back. If they did, he must rush out and get hold of the witch and put his yellow ring on before she had a chance to get out of the house or make an escape. This meant that he must watch the front door like a cat watching a mouse's hole. He dared not leave his post for a moment. So he went into the dining room and glued his face, as they would say, to the window. It was a bow window from which you could see the steps up the front door and see up and down the street, so that no one could reach the front door without you knowing. I wonder what Polly's doing, thought Diggory. Stop there because time.